We're going to kind of hinge at the hip a little bit and put the elbows out. When we come back here and start to move this shoulder back, we're actually lengthening the tricep, which is here. There's not much separation in my fingers, but when I open it up, now my finger is stuck back here because my delt has now lengthened.
Before I live the life of power, top of the food chain, all the rest is devour. Heard your video drop the month ago and I ain't heard you. The AP drop, it's murder, 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 murder.
All right, welcome back, welcome back. We are here for another day, and today's going to be a good one. It's arm day every day, you know, everyone's favorite day, arm day. So we're going to get this going real quick. We're doing arms, we're doing delts. There's a few key teaching points that I want to get across. Excuse me, can't even talk this morning. That I want to get across, and a lot of it has to do with driving the pinkies. All right, sounds weird, but trust me, when I lay it out for you, it'll all come together and you'll be like, man, I never thought about it this way. So hopefully that's something that you get out of this video. I got my pre-work down. Actually, I'm already done with it. But make sure, even though this is delt and arms, smaller muscle groups, we want to make sure that we still get in our stretching, we get in our warm-up, and we get in our yoga. So key teaching points on triceps, biceps, and a couple of things about gravity on the delts. All right, so let's get set, get ready, let's get going. All right, so we're gonna start here with biceps. We got 3 machines here, actually, for all, let's get that adjusted for all 3. We have bicep set up here, tricep set up here, delt set up right here. So we don't have to go far for this. The warm-up is, you know, very simple. We're locked in here with the bicep on the curl machine, and it's really just giving us the opportunity to release the muscle slow. So we come up quick, we can release that slow, keep it under control. We don't have to worry about injury as much, because if we need to bail out, we can just let it go, right? So what we want to do is take advantage of being locked in a stationary position. What we don't want to do is have the seat further down like this, and now we're trying to pull from up here. We want our body to match this angle here. So I'm leaning forward, arms are forward, and we're curling up, hinging at the elbow to release slow. 3, 4, 5. All right, I think that's 10 or so. All right, so next up we have the seated tricep dip machine. And again, this one gives us the benefit of being locked in, so we can really focus on just pressing down without the risk of injury. The angle on the back is not the best as far as where I would like to be, but we can make adjustments when you get in here. If you want to put your chest more upright versus feeling like you're about to fall out of the machine, you can do that. And so basic thing is we want to keep our elbows tucked and allow that weight to run up slowly. So we're basically doing the opposite of what we were doing for biceps. For biceps, we were releasing the muscle slowly. On this one, we're allowing it to retract back slowly. That's somewhere around 10, but we'll get a couple more. Now, last thing for the warm-up is going to just be the shoulder press. And so this one has 2 handles. This here, I like to use this one more like a Z press that we would use with dumbbells. So what we want to do is just kind of get comfortable in here, make sure that we get our elbows tucked. We don't want them flared out like this. We want to tuck our elbows and just drive up and control the weight on the way down. We don't have to do a specific number of seconds on the down portion. We just want to make sure we keep it under control. 4. And if you wanted to, you could even mix it up. 5 there. Now we get 5 here. 2, 3, Next up we have bicep curls, and we're gonna do it with a straight bar, preloaded straight bar. And the biggest tip with this, I can say, is remember to pull the delts back, pull the clavicle back, pull the shoulders back, whichever one. These things up here. So when you pick this weight up, it'll be internally rotated. Pull them back, open the chest up. Might be a better cue for you. Open the chest up. So we sit here, everything's open, and we're kind of internally rotated. Pull back. Now we've lengthened the bicep. So we put it in a pre-stretched position already. So we lengthen the bicep, we lock the elbows, we flex the triceps, and we pull straight up with the biceps. And we're trying to pull this up as high as we can. Run those forearms into those biceps as much as we can. And again, control this on the way down. One thing I like to do is after every 3-4 reps, recheck myself, reset myself. There's no problem with doing that. 4, 5, and this is 6. Now I'm going to recheck myself, open the chest up, because our technique will fail after a couple of reps. Squeeze one more up. 10. All right, then next up, moving on to triceps. So this one is, it's not all that difficult. So the biggest thing we want to pay attention to is the angle of the cable. All right, so when we talk about gravity, we all know gravity pushes straight down on us. So straighter this is, the more benefit we're going to get from gravity, less benefit we're going to get here, meaning making it easier for us. All right, but that's also in conjunction with how the relationship between our hand and the cable, or the rope rather. So if everything is straight up, it's going to be hardest here to pull down. But if we start to bring the angle out, now we don't have that 45-degree angle anymore, or sorry, 90-degree angle anymore. Things are easy. Then as we get straight on with this rope, it becomes harder. All right, so if we're right up on things, it's hard in the beginning. If we're back here, it's hard towards the middle and the end. All right, so we're going to start in the middle, not exactly right up on the rope and not exactly far away from it, in the middle. All right, so pull that weight off of the weight stack, tuck the elbows, chest up. I have this foot bent back here because in case I want to pivot just a little bit, I have the ability to, instead of here like I'm going to fall over or something. All right, so here we go, 10 to 12 of these. Pull that rope apart. What I'm doing is I'm pulling this into my hips. I'm not pulling this straight down in front of me, pulling this down and back, down and back. We're going to call this one 5. 6, chest up. Same thing after a couple of reps. Recheck your form, recheck your technique. Make sure everything is tight. We're not in a rush, but we're also not moving super slow. We'll call that 10, 11, 12. All right, so now we're going to really be using gravity to our benefit with this dumbbell overhead press, right? We want to get that delt stretched out. So it's a little bit controversial. Some people say make sure you have your elbows at about a 45-degree angle when you're pressing up. I don't mind coming out to the sides as long as we're not dipping those elbows down below the body, or below the shoulder rather. So when we press up and we come down, when we get to about parallel with the shoulder, slightly below is good enough, because what we want to do is make sure we stretch out those delts, right? When we talk about gravity, gravity needs to come straight down onto the delts. So if we're too far back by pushing our shoulders down into the pad, now we're starting to target upper chest. We're not getting the benefit of training the delts. So what you want to do, slight arch in the back, have those elbows out or angled, either way up to you, and then we're pressing up against gravity. Remember, whatever muscle groups initiates first, initiates the most, works the most. Initiate first, work the most. All right, so we want to make sure we put our shoulders in a position where we allow those delts to do that. So this is what it looks like, or at least what it looks like for me. After we get these dumbbells in place, so we have 50-pound dumbbells here. After we get these dumbbells in place, We turn out, up. Now, remember, we're not letting those elbows come far below. Right there is good for me. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So starting to get a little warm. Probably come up out of this shirt in a minute. Hey folks, let me share this with you real quick. I now have wrist wraps available. So if you're someone who does a lot of bench pressing, barbell curl, overhead press, or anything where you need stable wrists, these are the wraps for you. Just head over to my website, www.aphhealthnutrition.com, and get yourself a pair. All right, back to the video. All right, so hopefully this gives an even better visual of what I was speaking about. So with the delt, we want to take this here, put it on top so gravity has the opportunity to work on it the most. And we also put it in a pre-stretched position. So the reason I don't like the 45-degree angle as much is, I'm not even sure if you can see my delta muscles come down here. So if you watch my fingers right here, I'm grabbing kind of where the end points of the delt is, right? And so when I put that 45-degree angle, which is here, there's not much separation in my fingers. But when I open it up, now my finger is stuck back here because my delt has now lengthened. So if I put this in a pre-stretched position, then I give my delt the opportunity to work more, to initiate first and work the most. All right, so that's the reason that I like to do it. And again, with doing it that way, we're not doing a ton of weight. 50 pounds, I'll probably go up to 70 or 80s doing this technique. And then when I want to go heavier to really overload the muscle, I'll change to that 45-degree angle. So it's not that I'm against the 45-degree angle or that I don't like it. It's just that I like to use it when it's going to be most beneficial. And I like to use the 90-degree angle when that's going to be most beneficial. So this is what it looks like. We get here. Remember, not a huge arch. Elbows are not coming down far beyond those shoulders. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's how you do that. All right, let's keep it rolling. All right, so now we're gonna move into some independent arm, single arm, isolation arm, whatever you wanna call it, biceps and tricep movements. So with this, we have to understand that the bicep, when we're doing a lot of the stuff in the gym, especially with dumbbells, we're typically only hinging one joint, which is the elbow. So we have flexion and extension at the elbow. And so we're really just initiating here on the lower part of the bicep. We're not really finding that there's much contraction happening up here around the shoulder, because what do we do when we do bicep curls? We lock that shoulder in place so that we can put all the tension here. All right, so one thing we do so that we can get, I don't want to say deeper, but a higher contraction, is we drive with the pinkies. Remember I was telling you about the pinkies? We drive with the pinkies, and we drive that pinky out towards the outer part of the shoulder. All right, what does that look like? This is an over-exaggeration of it, but when we curl up, we're going to rotate. Why are we going to rotate? Because the biceps are responsible for supinating the forearm, for flipping it over, turning it over. All right, it's responsible for that. And as you can see, as I do that, the bicep will lengthen and shorten. Lengthen and shorten. Hopefully you're able to see that. Right here is lengthening, and as I turn it over, it's shortening. Well, if I continue to turn it over, it's going to get shorter and shorter and shorter. So we want to get that as short as possible. Let me come grab some dumbbells. We'll start with 30s. And we'll start here, and again, flex those triceps, pull the shoulders back so we lengthen that bicep. And as we curl up, we're gonna rotate that hand over, driving the pinky towards the outer part of the shoulder. This is what it looks like from the back. So when you come up, you're literally, now I don't want to say literally trying to touch it, but the idea that you have in your head is I want this pinky to go to the outer part of my shoulder. All right, hopefully we're able to see that. Trying to get a couple of good angles. Again, one man show here, so we're trying to show as much as we can. We're just moving around. Rotate that forearm. Drive those pinkies to the outside of the shoulder. Hopefully we was able to capture that. And so moving on to triceps, we are going to do some tricep dumbbell extensions. And this one is fairly simple. The biggest thing that we want to do is create length again, right? So when we come back here with the dumbbells, first get a stable platform to work from. And here is where we want to start, or at least press the weight up to. So it should be right above our shoulders, joints are stacked. From here, we want to start bending down, and as we do, we're going to allow these elbows and shoulders to come back. Why? Because if we stay here and rigid, all that tension is going to come down those elbows, and your elbows are going to be on fire. Plus, we lose the benefit of stretching this tricep out as much as it can, right? When we come back here and start to move this shoulder back, we're actually lengthening the tricep. So we come here. I guess one big thing that I kind of didn't mention or didn't go over is we want to understand that just because we're doing isolation exercises, it doesn't mean that there's no movement within the exercise. It doesn't mean that everything is locked in place completely and we never release things, because if that was the case, then we would truly isolate things, but we have to hold things in order to lock things in place to isolate them. But that doesn't give us the best benefit of that movement. So we create movement within the movement. I don't know if I'm explaining this good enough, but trust me, we create movement within the movement to benefit, and so that we get the most benefit out of the exercise. And what I mean when it comes to this exercise is, again, if we were to stay here locked in place, we're going to get a lot of tension running in those joints. But here, we're able to relieve some of that tension and lengthen the tricep. And then we push up, down, and back. So this is almost the same exact thing that we were doing with the triceps for the cables, where we weren't pushing just straight down, but we were going down and back. So this is very similar to that. All right, down, back, lengthen, extend. Down, back, lengthen, extend. All right, we'll call that 7. 8, got a little snot in my nose. 9, 10, 2 more. 11, 12, good. And we're gonna come back over here to this corner to now hit some of those lateral delts. And so again, we wanna initiate the movement first, but actually put that muscle group on top. And so what does that look like? Instead of just standing here, raising up to our side, we're going to kind of hinge at the hip a little bit and put the elbows out. So the lateral head right now is kind of running down to the side. And so when I rotate the elbows out, it puts them in a up position. You could do this seated, you could do it standing. I'm gonna do it standing for the benefit of this corner in this mirror. What we wanna do, slight hinge at the hip, get a good stable platform, elbows out, and we're pulling up. We're not pulling up super high like we're doing an upright row. Pulling up here. That's 4 there. Let's see what it looks like this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 there. Let's try to get another angle here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything remains under control. We're not swinging too much. We are allowing some hip hinging to happen. As the weight comes down, we want to come down with it. We don't want to remain rigid and just try to stay here. That'll keep all the tension on your joints. Again, there's movement within the movement. So if I'm here and I'm staying rigid, I'm really putting a lot of stress on my shoulders. But as I go up, if I give a little movement, and then as it comes down, I give a little more movement, I can stay safe. All right, what I'm not doing though is using momentum to drive this up. This is what I'm not doing, all right? As we go up, there's a little movement. It's not to initiate it, but it's to allow for a safe movement. Hoping this makes sense. All right, so we are here on lat pull downs, and yes, we are still doing biceps and triceps. I'm going to put 25 pounds on this just so we can demo this. All right, so you can use the regular straight bar if you like, but here we're going to work those biceps not only from the elbow, but from the shoulder. And so this is going to give us more of a contraction, longer contraction. I don't want to say deeper, but it's going to give us more of a longer contraction, or higher, sorry, not longer, but higher contraction on our bicep. So what we're not going to do is just curl back here like we're doing this. We're going to curl down and back. All right, lengthen, curl down, start bending at the elbow. Now let's start bending at the shoulder by pulling down. All right. So if you've ever done lat pull downs, which I'm pretty sure we all have, you know that when you start to pull down and your biceps start to fatigue, it's because that upper part of the bicep is doing work. So what we want to do, we'll put 40 pounds on now. We'll go to 55. That still seems a little light. So what we're going to do is lock ourselves in that lat pull down position. All right, start pulling with the biceps. Now start pulling with the lats. Or sorry, start pulling with the shoulders. Elbows, shoulders. Elbows, shoulders. This also gives us the opportunity to lengthen. All right, so we're going to stretch out just the same as if we were doing lat pull down. Stretch out, get back, locked into that position. Elbows, now pull those shoulders down. All right, let's try to get a better angle on this. So again, just like we're doing a lat pull down, we start bending those elbows. Now let's pull down on those shoulders. And it's really just this simple. Again, we're not just pulling down as if we're doing a bicep, or sorry, a lat pull down. We're curling, and now we're pulling down. Curling and pulling down. Again, that gives us the contraction at the shoulder. We're now moving more than one joint. We're moving the elbow, and we're moving the shoulder at the same time. All right, so next up, we're going to do some rear delts. And if you have these longer handles, use them. They're going to be most beneficial when doing this particular exercise. So these are face pulls. The biggest thing we want to focus on when doing these is trying to keep the palms mirroring one another. So what we don't want to do is to get into this position here. We want to keep, let's make sure we're in view. We want to make sure that we keep the palms facing this way, right? We're facing this way, and as we open up, we keep them facing this way as much as possible, all right? So drive with the elbows, hands mirroring one another, and the fact that we have all this extra space allows us to get our elbows further behind the body and pull this closer to our face, or it makes it longer for this to get towards our face, all right? So this is what it looks like. We're rooted, and I like doing standing positions, more athletic, right? So you can do this seated if you want. Take a step back to keep that weight off the stack and keep everything nice and upright. Allow the shoulders to retract a little bit. Run forward. Create length, create space. Close it up. All right, let's make sure we're in view, side view. Nothing special to this one, just gotta make sure that we do things correctly. All right, so we'll finish this off with some triceps. If you are still over here at the cable machine, this will keep you in one spot so you're not bouncing around place to place. Lower the handles all the way down to the bottom. That way we can do some overhead cable extensions. Put our triceps in a pre-stretched position. Overhead here, we don't want to be completely up right here. We're going to match the angle of the cables with our torso, and we're going to pull these apart and up and apart. Simple as that. Allow those handles to run back, and then you'll get a slight stretch. You could do it the same as if we were laying down doing dumbbell extensions. Give yourself a stretch and back. Stretch and back. Try to get a different angle. Like I said, sorry, one-man show here, so getting the angles best I can. But down and back, stretch, extend. All right, really nothing to it with those. And if those are too much for you, you can put this all the way up, and just the same as we were doing the ropes, you can do this. And the benefit of using these independent handles, the long ones, is that again, we can get further behind our body. We have a bigger rope, or sorry, we have bigger handles, wider, that we can pull apart and down and back further. All right, cool. All right, and so that's going to wrap us up, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you got some benefit out of it. Driving with the pinkies, using gravity to our advantage, and just really, really working hard. And maybe you even learn 1, 2, or more new things that you can do, train your biceps, triceps, and the different delts. All right, thank you for joining me for this video. I'll see you at the next one. Keep it going. Do your yoga. I'm out.
Mr. Push, push. We up in focus. We talk. Push, push.
For coaching, clothing, programs, www.aphhealthnutrition.com.